Welcome to Accreditation Made Easy, the podcast that takes the stress out of accreditation. I am your host, Areaka Jewell, and in each episode, we'll deliver actionable tips, expert insights, and practical strategies to help streamline the process. And of course, make your work life a little easier. Now, whether you're tackling policies, preparing for assessments, or just looking for ways to stay ahead, we've got you covered. Let's simplify accreditation, one step at a time. Well, hello there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Accreditation Made Easy. I am your host, Areaka Jewell. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the most anxiety-inducing processes in PowerDMS. And if you've been an accreditation manager for any length of time, you can probably relate and know exactly what I'm talking about. Updating the standards manual in PowerDMS. More specifically, that moment when PowerDMS warns you over and over and over again that what you're doing cannot be undone. You know, you've seen the screen, you've read the warning, and then you've read it again and again, and you wonder if you should click cancel and come back later. Because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what if I lose everything? Honestly, that is one of the most common fears that I hear from accreditation managers. They've spent years building an assessment. They've attached the files, they've added highlights, created notes, linked proofs, and prepared their assessment for the assessors, right? Well, then one day it's time to move on to the next accreditation cycle, and suddenly they're being asked to archive an assessment, start a new one, and oh wait, what about updating the standards manual? That's enough to make anybody nervous. But here's the good news. Archiving does not delete your assessment. Let me say that again. Archiving does not delete your assessment. It preserves it. Think of it like creating a historical record of exactly what your assessors reviewed during that accreditation cycle. The exact standards, the exact attachments, notes, highlights, everything preserved right there, and it stays just tucked away so that it can be referenced later if needed. And by the way, I have another helpful tip called Archived Assessments that tells you super quick and easy ways to access your archived assessments. All right, let's get back to it. Now, where I see most people get in trouble, it's not with the archiving. It's the part about starting a new assessment and updating the manual and the order of doing things. Because yeah, there is an order. Let's face it. At some point during this process, you're going to have to update the standards manual if there's a newer one available, right? New assessment, start fresh, start with the most up-to-date manual. So when you update a standards manual, there's no going back. Remember those warnings? PowerDMS is going to repeatedly warn you for a reason. And I've seen agencies learn this lesson the hard way. What happens is they see a new manual available, that button, and they immediately update. But what most don't even realize, or maybe they don't even know, is that you can literally copy attachments from one assessment to another. Yes, that is a thing, and it's a very important thing. Stick with me. The copy attachment feature is going to allow you to copy over things like your policies with the highlights you put in them, any simple notes, maybe you have required references, any attachment that you don't want to recreate from scratch. And why should you, right? You did the work once, why do it all over again? Trust me, the time saved by not having to re-upload, relabel, relink, re-highlight, everything is significant. So anyways, back to my common mistake that I see accreditation managers make. They start the new assessment and they immediately update the manual. Then they realize that they could have copied attachments into the new assessment first. Unfortunately, by that point, the opportunity has passed. That's why I always recommend the same Same sequence. Archive first, then copy, then update the manual. Okay, so let's walk through it. First, you're going to archive that completed assessment. Then you're going to create a brand new, nothing in it assessment using the same exact standards manual version. All right, stick with me. I mean literally the same version of the one you just archived, even if there's a newer one available. And the reason is simple, but I'll state it again. PowerDMS only allows attachments to be copied between assessments that share the same standards manual. Once the new assessment exists, you're going to navigate back to the archived one, and you're going to go to the Attachments tab at the root of the assessment. This is where you're going to select and copy any or all attachments, your policies, proofs, simple notes, whatever. Check out the companion document that will be linked in the show notes for a step-by-step guide on how to do this. Okay. Then, only after you've completed that process, should you update the standards manual in the new assessment. That's going to be the safest approach. And honestly, it's one of those things that seems totally intimidating until you've done it once or twice, or maybe 3 times. I get it. I've been there too. But after a few times, it becomes much more manageable. The key is understanding that archiving your assessment, it's your friend. It isn't deleting your work. It's preserving it. And once you understand that, the process becomes much less stressful. So, if you're approaching the end of an assessment cycle and you're starting to think about updating your standards manual, just remember this. Archive, copy, then update. That order matters. And as always, as I mentioned before, I'll include a companion document in today's show notes that walks you through the process step by step. And if you're not already signed up for my free helpful tips and resources, be sure to check out the links in the show notes or head over to www.accreditationacademy.net/sign up. And if you found this episode helpful, please consider sharing it with another accreditation manager who might be approaching this process for the first time. All right, until next time, friends, let's keep making accreditation easy, one step at a time.